the crux of the change, I believe, comes in meal charge criteria, if that is true, Ms. Santa. So there was a line put in the previous policy that said any student with a negative balance that exceeds $20 shall receive an alternative lunch that meets or exceeds the established nutritional guidelines for lunch. Additionally, they shall not be allowed to obtain any a la carte items. So, if we all recall from recent news, our friends in Warwick made national news over what was determined to be a lunch shaming policy that I think they're now taking a step back on, if I recall, but they're revisiting that. So basically what this policy change will do will remove the statement that says any student with a negative balance that exceeds $20 will receive an alternative lunch.
There's just no alternate lunch at all.
No alternate lunch, they will receive the lunch that they request.
Which is what they've been doing.
Yes.
Which is what they've been doing, and so it's.
No, that's not true. There's been an alternate lunch.
Yeah.
It's not a cheese sandwich, as it's purported to be often in the news, but it is a different.
It's the
It
second-
might be like
it's
a
the
sun
second
butter
lunch.
and
Sun
jelly
butter
sandwich or
and
something like
yeah.
that. That is not
No,
what they
we
necessarily
stopped
want.
that.
We haven't.
I think we stopped that.
We did that in elementary
That's not what our
schools.
policy says.
Well, I know in
Right,
yeah.
it's
And
one of
we
those
just
things
did
where.
that last year.
It's one of
So
those
as
things
of
where
last
I
year,
think
it
the
was
policy was done and nobody kind of follows policy because they think that it's silly.
We changed this policy last year, so if that changed this year, then this obviously might be just putting making our policy more up to date.
The
Because last year it was
practice,
not.
the practice is to not, because of the things that are going on, we internally made the decision to allow them to get them
Get
meals.
hot.
That is good news for the school committee to get, because we didn't know that. And I'm not putting it on anybody in particular, I'm just saying,
So it sounds like again, this policy has been approved by the Policy and Curriculum Subcommittee, and it will be brought to the full committee for its approval. It came to us because there's this section here about exceeding $20 in balances and how we're going to.
So legally, there's no, I know Mary Ann's not here, but there's no issue if we change it to the way we want to.
No, most districts
Are actually putting that into policy.
The other change that it makes is a nuance. It removes the word collection from the principal and business administrator who shall determine a method of debt payment. It removes the word debt collection payment.
The only thing that I have to disclose is if general fund, when you incur debt, the write-off has to be the general fund. But there are donations that have come in, but if you cannot collect the debt, that it has to come from the general operational budget, and that's just law.
But I mean, all our efforts are still made to go through the proper process.
Thanks to
Or
Bernie.
to help
Yeah, we have-
help families go ahead and transition to Title I if it makes sense.
Yeah, we send out emails to all the parents that owe money twice a week.
Oh, wow, okay.
It literally takes a minute, because it's built into the system.
Okay.
So they do get notices, and if they get really high, the secretaries at the schools call the parents to try and talk to them.
Thank you.
But they are not free and reduced people that are incurring the price.
No, I know.
You know that.
That's how
Okay.
it's got.
Yes, please.
I'm curious as to know if there's a number on the total amount of unpaid lunch debt in the district from any given year. Because what you're saying about that goes down against the general fund. Like, what is that number? What is that?
not high.
Oh, that is,
Yeah.
we're probably because of Bernie, I think we are the lowest, possibly the state.
We are at about 3,000 to 3,500, where another district right next door is up to 24.
WPRI had out a full,
Yeah, it was.
It had all the numbers.
Barrington is at $24,000 and so.
Yeah.
Good work.
We are low.
Thanks, Bernie.
Well, it's a group effort by the secretary.
We'll miss you.
Yeah.
Now that your position's gone.
We have $3,000 in donations, by the way. Between $2,900 and $3,000 has been brought in by the community to pay off this debt, but we just have to get a fair, procedure on that one too. How to apply that.
Okay. Any further discussion on this policy? Does this committee support this policy?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Next. Recommendation to the full school committee approval of the school lunch program contract. I don't know that I've...
So there is no formal contract. The proposal is, prior to this current year, all the East Bay districts went out collectively to bid. The proposal is in discussions, East Bay districts had discussions with the state to jump on board or piggyback on the statewide list. So then what we do is we sign on to statewide school lunch. And we talked to Chartwell's. Chartwell's has won the state bid, so there is no change in service. The benefit for East Bay districts to go to the state bid list is the state contract has lower fees, and it'll maintain the same amount of service with the same chef, nutritionist, and other districts. So nothing changes, we just get lower fees by going on to the state list.
So why didn't we do that before?
Chartwell's was not
On the state list?
State list.
And we didn't shop around?
We did every 3 to 5 years, all the East Bay districts, so that is Middletown, Portsmouth, Newport County, all of them went collectively together. We were able to negotiate really low fees. But at this point, in this round, the state can beat those fees, so we're jumping, all of us are jumping on board to the state list. State bid list. If we feel that it doesn't, our services change, we'll go back collectively up to bid.
So do I have a recommendation to go out to the state, to jump on to the state contract for school lunch program? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Ellsworth and seconded by Mr. Bento. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Recommendation to the full school committee, possible proposed assignment of additional fund balance to close the budget gap.
So moved.
Do we have a second for discussion? We have a motion made by Mr. Bento and a second by Mrs. Ellsworth. Discussion? So what is this one, overcome?
That's the one that we had discussed in the beginning, according to General GASB, General Accounting Standards Board, section whatever. It is 54, maybe I can't remember, it's 54, states that you have to assign fund balance before June 30th. The committee has, you can assign it based on the current policy. The school committee has the right to unassign and reassign throughout the fiscal year.
So is the current recommendation by the superintendent and Director of Finance to assign that to capital as in years past? Or is there a different proposal?
It would be because the current policy says to do so. Your current policy says that any balance that you end with would go to capital. I believe, as we had discussed before, during our work this summer, we'll know the balance, and we may bring back a formal recommendation for you to reassign the same amount, moving it from capital to an alternate.
But the current recommendation is to follow policy and to assign it to capital, which needs to be done by June 30th.
Right.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
please.
Rebecca, what's best practice? Like when you were in Middletown, what did they do?
In Middletown, what we did is we would end with a fund balance. That fund balance would be part of a discussion for a future year. So we would wait for the audited financials. When the audited financials come out, which is around December, it is the same time that we were preparing a budget for.
You would just move that, you would just.
We would use that under consideration.
Do we know why the policy was written to transfer it to capital? It just seems like it's not the right thing.
You know, most of it, I will say in Middletown, there's a lot of different things that were in capital, so technology was in capital. So you would, in Middletown, you would say, based on this fund balance that we end with, we could purchase.
Oh, we don't know why it was done here.
No, I would say that they follow the same one-time expenditures in capital that most districts do, because you want a balance of
I'd like to
budget.
look at that policy.
Just, yeah, there's a couple of policies that we can give.
Is that something that would go before the policy subcommittee for reconsideration then?
We could research other policies
Yeah.
and see what other districts do.
I would. I'd look at like the top 5 districts in the state, see what they do.
Carly would love to do that. Doesn't bother.
I say we load her up with like
And Diane.
But we can move it
6
back,
hours
right?
of policy.
You can.
review.
Like if you said like, I don't want it that, like, we can roll it back in. Okay.
We can make a change in
We
it.
can make recommendations, you can ask to revisit it, when you're assigning, it's done by the governing board, and at this point, you're the only ones who can unassign or reassign. So we could revisit it in subcommittee, this summer.
Okay.
And make a different recommendation for the full.
Different recommendation, just like you did with the sign.
And why do we have to decide now? Does it have to do?
Because you decide before June 30th, because it needs to be disclosed in an audit, so you could, when they're disclosing, GASB 54 is all about disclosing fund balance. So
Right.
you would disclose that there has been a vote by the committee
So it has to be to June.
to assign a fund balance to be used in a
Okay.
future, capital or a future budget year.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, by the way,
Second.
number 6, before we do that, the next meeting will not be Monday, July 15th. It will actually be Monday, June 24th at 6 p.m. at the high school cafeteria with one item on it, and that is for a recommendation of the full school committee on the preliminary FY20 budget. All right, with that, yes, please.
I'd just like to propose something, and I know it's not on the agenda, and just a recommendation that Raquel start a GoFundMe account.
We can put that on the, we can put the agenda, we can put that as an agenda topic for the.
Right, that is a questionable, we can talk about GoFundMe at a later date. That's-
Yeah.
We can put it on, and if we decide that we don't want to talk about it on Monday, but let's put it on the agenda for Monday, and then we can either recognize it or move forward and table it to a later meeting.
To discuss what about it?
There's something else to say on it. I also
You know, you
think,
can't talk about it because it's not on the agenda.
I know, but I
Talk
think,
about it to me afterwards,
I
and then I
think-
can put it on the agenda.
I think that the superintendent should start 2 contests, one with our employees and one with the students, for suggestions on how to do things better, kind of like a little takeoff on what you're saying where we've got to improve, and there are room area for improvements. I just think that if we ran a contest with some small dollar amounts, maybe we could get some information.
So that would be something that maybe we could put on the full school committee agenda from.
I'll have a discussion
Aaron
about this
doesn't
first,
like-
because I don't know what you're
Aaron
talking
doesn't
about.
like any of
GoFundMe.
All right, so all in
I just
favor
don't want to
to
agree to put
adjourn the
anything on the
meeting?
agenda before.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Did you already get it?
Yes.
All
Just
in
a
favor?
notification, Route 136 is closed. Your best bet if you're going back to Warren is go Route 114.
What's up?
Why?
Accident?
Construction.
Construction.
I find it ironic, Mr. Chair, that the majority of the people who left do not have to work tomorrow.